Live from the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, it is time for the open workouts for Woodley versus Paul 2. Yes, the rematch.
This fight got disrupted when Tommy Fury was forced to pull out.
Tyron Woodley is getting a second chance for something we didn't think he was going to get.
That's the fight that should have happened in the first place, and now we're about to get it done. It's shots that I saw that I could have thrown. I allowed him to throw more. He backed up. I was pressing him. I was in better shape. And it's going to be the same thing this time.
You're Jake Paul. You have a very important job of making sure that a rival gets silenced.
Do you expect this to be more difficult?
I don't. I'm early in my career. I've never even been hit with a 10-ounce glove. The shot he caught me with was a lucky shot. I was falling backwards already, so it really didn't even hurt. It's like a chess game, and I'm just better at it.
This has been a wild rivalry, and it's only heating up a second time.
Live from sunny Tampa, Florida, inside the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, it is time for the press conference for Tyron Woodley versus Jake Paul, or Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley 2. Hello, everyone. We are the hosts for your stream here today. This is Brian Campbell. I'm Luke Thomas. We're also the hosts of Morning Combat, but Brian Campbell.
The award-winning Morning Combat.
Morning Combat. Do check that out. But for today's purposes here, we are for the press conference. BC, we were here in August, or we were in Cleveland in a similar position in August, and everything got out of hand. But if we could take away anything from yesterday's workouts, these two have a competitive but different energy this time.
Yeah, you know, they're certainly competitive to want to win this. And for Tyron Woodley, it's a second chance that he didn't see coming. We didn't see coming. It took Tommy Fury pulling out of the fight just less than 2 weeks ago for Tyron Woodley 3 months later to get this immediate rematch. Most of the talk, though, this week from the analysts, from the critics like us, has been that their first fight was very close, but there's room for both to grow. And I think both fighters, Luke, have carried that sentiment, you know, as we get closer with that, where they both feel equally confident that they left something on the table in the first fight. Jake may have gotten a split decision win in their 8-round bout, but it's up for grabs in the second one, and both feel they have figured out the lane and the angle to get there. It's going to be interesting.
Also, I do think it is worth bringing up that the first fight, we would argue, was masterfully sold, but the fight itself was not just competitive and controversial. I think that's fine, but it was a little bit not very dynamic.
Would you agree that maybe Team Paul didn't realize Tyron Woodley, in making the transition from MMA and UFC fame to boxing, would actually be that good with his footwork, with his defense, with his setup? And do you think maybe Tyron Woodley underestimated that he could maybe let his hands go a little bit more and have a higher upside than what he ended up performing? I think they learned a lot. I think that's an accurate way to frame it.
I think it's a fair way to put it. I would certainly argue that some of the power probably hit Jake a little bit differently than he might have imagined. I think that made Jake resort to something of a more conventional, less risk-taking posture generally within the fight itself. He was doing the more activity, it should be noted, almost in every single round, but certainly a bit of the safer kind as the fight wore on. And in the case of Tyron Woodley, he was plagued again by not having enough volume. That was something at the end of his UFC run that was a problem. It showed up in this fight as well. But this is sort of my point. It's like both of these guys want to graduate to something more significant. In the case of Tyron Woodley, I think he wants to get the loss, not taken off of his record, but the W to take the sting away, and then has planned for a big 2022. Jake, a little bit less committal about the specificities of his 2022 plan, but he wants to put this chapter with Woodley absolutely behind them. Just eking out another close win on low volume, I don't think is going to get either of them what they're looking for.
That's why it's not just a second chance opportunity for Tyron Woodley to really try to keep the money making in this type of genre in the combat sports frame alive. Big opportunities for him. He gets that redemption, but Jake Paul does as well, because Luke, he told us himself, he's been saying it in interviews, he's not fully happy with his performance just 3 months ago. He came away with a split decision win, but there were obvious wake-up calls in room for him where he said, I got to get better in these categories if I want to do this. So there's the redemption angle for him. Yes, to put the rivalry behind him, but to try to make the statement he was trying to make in August. And if you give Jake Paul credit in this one way, he's been taking it super seriously, and he's been trying to elevate his matchmaking and his performance along with it each step. This was one where they elevated the matchmaking with Woodley, but even he believes there's a better, stronger performance. So we'll see if he can do that Saturday night and try to cap it off with a knockout, which is what he wants to. And don't forget about the knockout clause. On the flip side, Luke,
right.
Will that be a factor at all? Tyron Woodley offered $500K for a KO.
Putting a bounty on his head. The New Orleans Saints got in trouble for bounties in Bountygate. In this particular case, the guy who is putting the bounty on himself, which is a little bit unusual in that way, although we do see contracts in MMA where they can be split, where you get a stronger performance. It can end up leading to bonuses or other kinds of pays that are added on top of the base pay. BC, you didn't quite get to one question I started off the conversation with, which I do think is important to mention, especially for the folks who were not watching yesterday's workouts. We were there in Cleveland to interview both Tyron and Jake. We got a sense of things at that time, and then we did it again yesterday. They were not adopting the same kind of postures, I didn't think, Brian. Tell me if you agree. Jake, to me, seemed a little bit more, even as braggadocious as he was the first time, almost a little bit more sure of what the outcome would be. Yeah. And Tyron seemed to be more happy-go-lucky.
I don't think either were in sell mode like they were in that first fight to say, man, I got a beef with this guy, and I'm going to show the world exactly what that is. I think it's more about they have that competitive drive, like I said, to run back, try to get redemption. So they're focused more on what the fight represents than necessarily each other talking trash. That's why I want to see how they use today's press conference to try to maybe get that one up in that mental edge, something the Paul brothers in general, look, they're sort of natural disruptors and trolls. They're very good at doing that. So the whole mindset plays a big role in it. There's no question.
Let me just remind folks as well, you can still get tickets for this at the Emily Arena box office. And if you want to purchase this, please, by all means, there is no time like the present. Showtime.com/PPV is going to be the place. Showtime.com/PPV. This will be on Saturday. The last fight that was on Sunday, 9 p.m. in the East. We are just moments away from getting going here at the Paul and Woodley presser. BC, are you expecting the same kind of melee in the crowd?
We have to expect something because Jake Paul is an entertainer. Remember, he brought Coach D to the first Tommy Fury presser. There's always, yesterday had the swim goggles. There's always something a little next level. I think there's a problem bot over my shoulder.
There he is.
Walking by, that guy, yes, that guy's an original.
That's a normal job, right? That's a very normal.
We see that a lot in combat. No, we don't see the big giant robots playing video screens of their opponent's biggest losses. It's creative. It's fun. We're going to have to see something here to see if they can get under each other's skin, get in each other's head.
All right, with that in mind, let's go now to the host of today's ceremonies. Let's go to Brian Custer.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I want to welcome you to Tampa, or as they call it around here, Champa Bay, City of Champions. This is the final press conference for Paul versus Woodley 2. And they promise that on Saturday, December 18th, they will leave no doubt as to who is the winner between these two fierce competitors. I'm Brian Custer, the host of Showtime Championship Boxing. And on Saturday, December 18th, at the Emily Arena, these two will run it back. Paul versus Woodley. Leave no doubt. There are some tickets still available. You can purchase them through emilyarena.com, but they're expecting a sellout of more than 16,000 to pack the arena. This will also end what has become an unprecedented year for Showtime Championship Boxing as we close out the year with an explosive fight between two guys who want to run it back. Showtime has been the undisputed leader in showing boxing, and we can't wait to cap it off with these guys going right back at it. It's going to be a 4-fight pay-per-view card that comes your way on Showtime pay-per-view. We'll kick things off at 9 o'clock Eastern time. That is 6 o'clock Pacific time. The fight's going to be distributed to basically countries around the world. You can purchase the fight through cable, satellite. Also, we are streaming it on the Showtime app. You can get it through showtime.com/PPV. It's also available Canada, Europe, Australia, Latin America. The event is produced and presented by Jake Paul's Most Valuable Promotions, along with Showtime Sports. It's also in association with Tony and Bryce Holden of Holden Productions. We're going to talk to the fighters here about why they're running this one back. Get some thoughts from everybody. We'll allow members of the media. I know you have questions. We'll get to those as well. But let me begin with the fight that will come your way in the arena. It'll be off the TV but it's on the undercard. 8 rounds, super middleweight fight. Anthony Taylor taking on Chris Avila. And, Chris, let me start with you because, you and Anthony, of course, fought in MMA. You won that fight by decision. What can you take from that fight into this boxing rematch?
Nothing new. I'm just going to come in there and do what I do.
All right, Anthony. Fought Tommy Fury last time we saw you.
Spanked him, Bellator.
On this card. What can you take from that fight that's going to help you in this one?
Oh, man. Since the Tommy Fury fight, fought twice in Mexico, brushing up my skills. I'm a lot sharper, a lot faster, a lot better, a lot sexier now than ever.
Facts.
Chris Avila.
You looking good.
Thank you, sir. Chris Avila ain't got nothing on me. Him and Cameron Diaz, a.k.a. Nathan Diaz Army, they ain't got nothing on me. I'm coming in with ferocious everything. I'm coming to knock him out first round to leave a statement. He's a nobody. I already beat him last time in the cage, smacked him up. Him and Nate tried to jump me, him and his boys, but that didn't happen because I had my team. But come this Saturday, he's going down.
Chris, in response.
He ain't about to do shit.
You sound like Nate, slurring like a dummy.
That's a fight that's going to be on the undercard. That's what we got for you as we jump into this. Now we get to the television portion of the fight card on this pay-per-view. And we've got Liam Paro, Yomar Alamo. And this is a really good fight for the simple fact that you've got 2 unbeaten fighters here going at it. And Liam, let me start with you because you're making basically your U.S. debut here on Saturday. It's my understanding that, listen, you've sparred with the likes of Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, Rolly Romero, all in preparation for this fight. And the last offsuit that we saw come here in the States and shock the world was Teofimo Lopez when he fought George Kambosos, and we know what George Kambosos did to him. What are the same chances that you do the same thing to Yomar Alamo?
Yeah, exactly right. I've had a perfect camp. You just named the guys I was sparring with. So Saturday night, I'm going to go in there, and it's going to look like an absolute mismatch. I guarantee you, I'm going to make it explode onto the international scene in a big way.
I thought it was interesting. You told the media, quote, this fight may look even on paper, but as soon as the bell rings, it's going to look like a mismatch. Tell us why.
Correct. You will see Saturday night. I'm world class. I'm coming for the whole 140-pound division, and after Saturday night, I'm putting it all on notice, and this is the start. This is the scalp I'm going to take. Yomar Alamo is the first one, and I'm going to do it in devastating fashion.
Yomar, he says, listen, this fight is going to be a mismatch because of his skills. What's your response to that? Martin Bader would do the translation.
Yomar, bueno, acá tu rival dice que esta pelea no va a ser pareja para nada, que él te va a abrumar y que va a poner al mundo en noticia de que él es el mejor de los dos. ¿Qué le respondes?
Pues mira, él tiene, ¿verdad?, el libre albedrío de comentar lo que él quiera. Sí deben entender que soy un gran peleador, por algo ostento el título latino de la OMB, por algo fui campeón nabo de la OMB y por algo ya quité un invicto a Kendo Castañeda, boxeador de Roy Jones Jr. Y estamos listos para cualquier adversidad y que venga preparado porque aquí también lo estamos.
He can say whatever he wants, but what he also has to do is respect the fact that I'm the Latin WBO champion, that I took on a disciple of Roy Jones Jr. like Castañeda, and I took away his unbeaten status. So he has to respect me, he has to know that it's not going to be easy, and I'm coming for it all as well.
Eso es lo más que me gusta de mí como boxeador, que muchas personas me subestiman Y nada, en el ring solo estamos la persona y yo y hay que dar lo mejor.
I love it when people underestimate me, but in the end, inside the ring, it's just me and him, and I'm going to show him what I'm all about.
Last but not least, Yomar, let's be honest. You look at your guys' record. You've certainly faced the harder opposition. Do you believe Paro is on your level?
Bueno, los rivales a los que vos has enfrentado son los más difíciles comparado de los dos. ¿Crees que Paro está a tu nivel?
Pues mira, nosotros nos preparamos para cualquier rival. Aquí no hay enemigo pequeño. Como dice el refrán, hay que ir preparados, hay que ir listos. No sabemos si él está a la calidad y rivalidad de los oponentes anteriores. Solo sabemos que hay que prepararnos bien y vamos a obtener esta victoria, de seguro.
We're not about to underestimate anybody. There are no small opponents. You always have to be ready. You always have to be prepped for whatever is to come. But I can guarantee you something. We're going to come out with the win.
That's the first televised fight on this pay-per-view card. And then we get to a unique boxing match because you have football meeting basketball. Frank Gore, third all-time leading rusher in the NFL, five-time Pro Bowler, played in the Super Bowl. He's going to be taking on Deron Williams, an Olympic gold medalist, three-time All-Star in the NBA. Frank, listen, I know you love the sport. I know that you love the sweet science. You've trained in it. You've sparred professional fighters. What is Deron Williams in the boxing public going to find out Saturday night here in Tampa?
Well, first I would like to say thanks to Jake and his team who put me on the Showtime card. I'm very excited about this opportunity. But a lot of people going to really be surprised with my skill set. You know, I took this 8-week real serious. I always wanted to do this, and I'm going to show the world that I got boxing skills come Saturday night.
Deron, same question to you. I don't know if people know this, but you love fighting. Grew up as a wrestler, own an MMA gym, so this is nothing that's new to you. What's Frank Gore in the boxing public going to find out about Deron Williams come Saturday night?
I think there's a stigmatism about, basketball players, being a little soft. And, I'm here to show that's not the case. I've been training for a while, MMA, stand-up, and, making the switch to boxing has been a process that I've enjoyed. And I've taken this camp very seriously, and you're going to see that on Saturday.
Frank, there's a lot of people who are going to be tuning in, people paying hardcore money to come to this thing. What can you guarantee them that they're going to get when they watch you and Deron Williams fight?
Well, I think it would be a good fight. Like I said, I respect my opponent. I don't look at Deron as a basketball player. But I feel like any guy who get in the ring, got some type of toughness. He been around fighting, been doing MMA, wrestling, so I know that he got some type of toughness. But like I said, I'm ready. I train my behind off, and they're gonna see some good stuff. They're gonna see some good stuff.
Deron, we'll wrap it up with you. Same thing. What can you guarantee that those people are going to get when they see you in the ring?
Yeah, I think that it's two guys who are high-level athletes in their respective sports, who have decided to dedicate themselves to the sport of boxing. And I think that it's an interesting fight because neither one of us has a fight. There's not tape on us, so you just have to tune in December 18th to see what happens.
So there you go. We start the night off, two unbeaten fighters, and then we go into a boxing debut, two professional athletes, and then we come to the co-main event. And what an event we have. Miriam Gutierrez, 14-1, 5 knockouts from Madrid, Spain. She's also won here, making her debut here in the States. And what a task she's got in front of her. because she has, arguably pound for pound, the best female fighter walking this planet. Amanda Serrano, the real deal. 41-1-1. 30 of those wins have come by knockout. The unified featherweight champion. She's won titles in 7 different weight divisions, second only to Manny Pacquiao. And I'm talking both male, female. She is at the elite when it comes to fighting. She enters this fight on a 27-fight winning streak. 21 of those have come by stoppage. She probably can't even remember the last time she even suffered defeat. It's been almost a decade since she's even seen a loss. That said, champ, what's the importance of this fight for you come Saturday?
Well, this fight is very important. You know, Miriam is a tough, durable, big fighter, and she took the task of fighting me, and you know, I had to get through Miriam this night. I know she's coming to it's been a lot of upsets lately, and I know she wants to come in and do the same thing, but I've trained super hard, and I know Miriam is a tough girl, and it's going to be a great night.
Listen, there's no secret. Miriam fought Katie Taylor. I know you want to fight Katie Taylor. How much is this a test for you to see, okay, let's see if I have the goods to fight a Katie Taylor, because I'm sure she's going to be watching this fight.
You know what? We know Miriam is a tough fighter because she went the distance with Katie, and you know, I know Miriam is she's a durable fighter and she's strong. So we have to go out there and just win this fight, perform to our best abilities to just to go on to the next one. But no disrespect to Miriam, I've been training really, really hard to her. I don't want to no more questions about Katie Taylor. You know, 2 days out of the fight. My whole training camp has been concentrating on Miriam, and she's my focus come Saturday night, Miriam.
Miriam, all your fights have been in Europe. What are your feelings fighting for this here in the States for the first time and against Amanda Serrano?
Miriam, todas tus peleas han sido en Europa. ¿Cómo te sentís peleando en Estados Unidos por primera vez y contra una rival del calibre de Amanda Serrano?
Pues la verdad es que es una experiencia increíble, y más con Amanda Serrano, que es campeona en 7 categorías, que está bastante, es increíble. Y al final, bueno, vienes aquí porque quieres pelear con las mejores. Sé que ella es una de ellas, al igual que peleé con Katie Taylor en su día, a pesar de las diferentes circunstancias. Porque cuando yo peleé con Kitty estaba totalmente todo cerrado y los entrenamientos eran totalmente de otra manera, y no podíamos salir de casa por las circunstancias que teníamos mundialmente. O sea que ahora mismo quiero disfrutar de esta gran velada, de esa gran pelea que viene y lo que venga, que estamos preparados para lo que sea.
This is an amazing experience, and to have that experience against a 7-division world champion like Amanda Serrano is just amazing. And I'm here to fight the best. I fought against Katie Taylor, but under different circumstances. It was really the pandemic. Everything was closed. Training was different. It was harder. So now I'm just here to enjoy the entirety of the experience, the fans, the atmosphere, and I love every single second of it.
Miriam, and listen, you heard Amanda say she wants no more questions about Katie Taylor because she's fighting you. But she told the boxing scene, I think this is a good test for me. She fought Katie Taylor, and this is a good test to see where I am in relation to that fight. I don't want to say she's a stepping stone, but this is something where I can see where I am with that fight on the horizon. Do you see yourself as a test for Katie Taylor? How do you see this fight?
Bueno, sabemos que Amanda no quiere hablar más de Katie Taylor, pero sí le había dicho a la prensa que quiere ver cómo vos sos como prueba comparado con Katie, ¿no? ¿Vos creés que ese es el caso de que te ves como una prueba similar a lo que podría ser Katie Taylor para ella?
Cada boxeador es de un boxeador diferente, no tiene nada que ver. Yo soy de una manera, Amanda de otra manera, Kitty de otra manera, y depende también las circunstancias. Yo no soy una persona que, no sé, se ha brindado esta oportunidad. Sinceramente nos preparamos para los mejores. Sí, poder pelear con ella para mí es una grandísima oportunidad también de poder medirme y nada, trabajamos para ello.
Every fighter is different. I'm one way, Amanda's another way. Katie is different than both of us. And to me, the bottom line is that I prepare to fight against the best. Amanda is also going to be a great test for me. I want to see what I'm all about. And that's what this sport is all about. I want the biggest challenges, and I'm ready for anything that comes my way.
Amanda, we'll wrap it up with this. This is interesting, you fighting at 135. We already know you bring it at 126. But now 135, bigger opponents. Is there a piece of you too that says, I want to see how I do at this weight and if I can stop some of these women at 135?
Well, I have a couple of fights at 135 and a couple of stoppages at 135.
Yeah.
You know, my
but
power.
It's been a while.
Yeah, no, it's been a while. But my power is real. I take it wherever I go in any division I go to. But yeah, it's a test. I know this girl. She's a natural 135 pounder. She's a little taller than me. So yeah, it's definitely a test for me too to go out there. And like you said, it's been a while. So I have to test my power once again.
Miriam, we'll wrap it up with this. Reading up on you, I found out that you have a foundation you started based on something, unfortunately, that happened to a number of women in this country and around the world. Can you tell the people what your foundation is, why you started it, because of what happened to you?
Bueno, Brian estuvo leyendo sobre vos y le impresionó que tenés una fundación de una causa muy linda que ayuda a gente de algo que desafortunadamente le pasa a mucha gente alrededor del mundo. Contanos un poco de qué se trata esa fundación y qué te motivó a fundarla.
Bueno, la verdad es que yo no la fundé, fue mi entrenador, Jerónimo García, donde podemos ayudar a un montón de personas con exclusión social, donde se les aporta ciertas circunstancias, el poder practicar el deporte nuestro, que es el boxeo. Gente que no tiene ese tipo de recursos, poder darle unos guantes, un espacio para poder disfrutar de ese tipo de deporte que es el que nosotros estamos a gusto y disfrutamos de él.
The foundation is all about preventing social exclusion. It was founded by my trainer, Jerónimo García, and it's about giving people the tools to cope with what social exclusion doesn't give them. We want to give them a space to be themselves. We want to give them a pair of gloves and a space to feel safe more than anything. Preventing social exclusion and making them part of an inclusive atmosphere.
Fantastic. That, absolutely. She suffered from domestic violence from someone who was very close to her. And out of that, she started her foundation. So, congratulations. Great thing you doing that.
Felicitaciones por haber fundado fundación y él contaba sobre cómo tuviste el problema de violencia doméstica y te sobrepusiste a eso y por eso te está felicitando.
All right. Now we get to the main event. We've got the chosen one and a problem child. Jake Paul, 4-0, 3 knockouts. Tyron Woodley, second professional fight. Jake, we'll start with you. I guess the first question is, what were your thoughts when Tommy Fury all of a sudden pulls out of the fight last week? He says because, obviously he had a medical condition going on, and then all of a sudden, Tyron Woodley is your opponent again. What went through your mind?
I just thought to myself, it's funny how these professionals, like Tommy Fury, who's considered a professional boxer, gets sick, breaks a rib, and doesn't want to fight. I fought sick, I fought hurt. You got to go in there and get the job done. And then they're like, oh, you got Tyron Woodley now. No problem. That's why I got the ski mask on. They're going to give me a big bag to go and beat the guy I already beat. This is a bank robbery.
I see you got a belt here. Says the most valuable boxer. Jake Paul. Is that belt for you? Or is that for the most valuable boxer of the night? Explain the belt for us.
This belt is for me. That's why it says for Jake Paul right here. But this is the most valuable boxer belt, designed by Alec Monopoly. We got a diamond Rolex on the side, a diamond Cartier on the side, and then the Hermes Birkin bag sewn into the side for the most valuable boxer of this generation.
The chosen one, Tyron Woodley. So, Tyron, you get another crack at Jake. You were already training for a fight. And then all of a sudden last week, you get the call like, hey, do you want to run it back? Give me your thoughts. Did you think this would happen? And what were your thoughts when you actually got the call last week?
You know, my thoughts when I got the call is that, you know, things happen for a reason. I think this is all a part of alignment. And, you know, it's been times in my mixed martial art career where, you know, we get a fight done and we always think we need a break, we need to go on a vacation, and we need to just download because the training camp takes a lot of energy and a lot of time, a lot of PR. And something told me this fight wasn't going to happen. Something didn't sit right with me about the Tommy Fury matchup. It didn't make a lot of sense. I didn't think people were as excited about the Tommy Fury fight as they were with me and Jake. So I flew my coaches into town end of September. I said, this fight ain't going to happen. I said, this fight will not happen. I said, my spirit is telling me it's not going to happen. So we started training. Not really as a replacement, but training because I just didn't feel like the fight was going to happen. So when I got the call, the sentence wasn't even finished before I was in. So I'm just excited about the opportunity to go out here and redeem myself. We found out a lot about each other that night in the ring. You know, some mutual respect, but it's still some unfinished business.
Now, I know you guys did the bet thing. Do we have another bet going on here this time, Jake?
I mean, we just added to his contract that if he can knock me out, he'll get $500K bonus on top. So that's that. I don't need nothing. I already got everything.
Does that?
I just bet I beat his ass. That's my bet.
I'm a eat your ass. I mean, I'm a beat your ass.
I'm not falling for that.
You won't let me? Nah, pause.
Luckily, we're on Showtime. It's okay. It's okay. It begs this question though. I'll start with you, Tyron. I rewatched the fight, and I think the question a number of people come away with was, fourth round, you almost knocked this man in the front row. Why didn't you finish him? You know, one thing that you got to recognize in this sport is, you know, when people are down and they're wounded, you know, they make the comment that when somebody backs against a wall, when somebody's like a wounded dog, you got to be patient. You got to be patient on trying to finish that deal off because Jake has shown in his fights. You watch the Nate Robinson fight. You watch even when he knocked out Ben Askren, he wasn't really looking at them at the time. You know, they walked forward. He looked like he was going to load it on Ben's body, and then he came over the top. Nate ran in and rushed into a right hand. So, you know, you got to respect power. And I'm not going to sit up here and act like he don't have power. He does have power, and I have power. That's why you guys want to watch this fight again. So when I was looking at that, I actually punched him into. He was under the first rope, land on the second rope, hooked on the third rope, and sitting on the fourth rope. And we went into the boxing ring earlier that day, and we noticed how tall the top rope was. It was really at the back of my head. And at that point, we started measuring the second and the third rope. And those ropes are kind of really loose. So they went to tighten the rope up. And to be honest, when I punched him, he actually sprung back into the ring based upon the second and third rope. So when I was going to punch him for the second time, you know, I don't go out there and cry over spilled milk. Like Jake said, he had an injury. Most fighters fight with injuries. You train your ass off. Most of the injuries come into training. And when you sign a contract and you walk in there, you don't cry fit. You don't go in there and complain about it. If you win, you win. If you lose, you lose. You don't make excuses afterwards. But when he came back in, I was trying to punch him again. I actually wrapped around his back. And I felt like my elbow was a little bit of hyperextended. So I said, Tyron, walk him down. Get in his face. You're in better shape. He's backing up. And I was
punching and trying to make him punch back so I can counter punch him, but I really didn't feel like it was time for me to just go in there with avalanches of punches. He was hurt, but he wasn't to the point where he was dangling around and his legs were shaking. So hindsight is 20/20. I could have went in there and threw a barrage of punches, and he could have came with that right hand that we saw. He could have came with the left hook. Maybe I could have did more. Maybe I could have been a little bit more active, but we're in there. You know what I mean? We're in there. We see what we see, and I gotta go off my experience on what I saw. My last UFC fight, I hit the guy, and he had Bambi legs, and I said, it's over with. And I went in there for the kill. And when I did that, he clipped me with a shot. And, you know, I wasn't thinking about let's be safe, but you got to be a professional out here. You know, this is a young kid. He hasn't really went a long fight ever. This is the first time he ever went more than 2 or 3 rounds, right? His chin has not been hit that often. He's going to be able to take a punch. So those are the things that an experienced fighter think about. So I know people wanted to see, it was more so people wanted to see me knock him out for them. You know, and I think that's why everybody, oh, you shoulda, woulda, coulda. I want to see you guys get in there and do it.
Jake, I think it's important to debunk something that came about after that first fight. There was this rumor going on. There was a clause in the first fight that you couldn't be knocked out, and that was the reason why Tyron didn't go for the knockout in the 4th round after he took out. But you just said there's an extra $500,000 if he does knock you out. Tell me why you said, okay, let me up the ante.
I guess my career has just become shutting people the fuck up, and this is just another version of that. So, up the ante, prove that there's no knockout clause, the fact that people think that they're idiots, and I'm willing to put money on it. That's it.
I appreciate the half a bag. I'm going to throw in some crypto.
Does that put any more pressure on you to try to get the knockout?
Absolutely not. If you go to the recreational center, you play some one-on-one basketball with a guy, he beats you 7 rounds to 1 or 7 points to 1, however you want to look at it. And then you come back next Thursday and you want to beat that guy in one-on-one basketball, just because he is going to pay you to beat him doesn't mean you can. I'm not nervous at all about that. If anything, it's my advantage. He's going to come out, try to knock me out, and like he just said, he's going to get caught because he respects my power. A lot of people online were saying, why didn't you finish him? Why didn't you finish him? Because Tyron felt my power in the 1st round, and he knew that if he walked into that shit, it's on the canvas. I hurt him multiple times in that fight, but for some reason people don't want to talk about that.
When did the referee ever come towards my way to save my life? When did you hurt me? When did you nearly put me to the canvas?
7th round, overhand right.
Yeah, you
Picture
know what
that's
happened
on my
after
Instagram
right?
with your head
got
going.
back in your face like
and you fell forward into my arms and I caught you. I saved your life. But not this time.
Every time I hit you, you ran. Every time you hit me, I walked you down, I got back in your face. So when you hit me, it actually made me even more pissed off. So at the end of the day, I don't know where that analogy came from with the basketball game. You lost me and everybody in this room because you definitely didn't win 7 rounds, number 1. Number 2, why didn't you knock me out? If you hit me with the hardest shots, why didn't it make me back up? Why were you the one to run in the whole time?
So it begs the question, and we'll wrap it up with this.
Let him answer that.
I said, no, 100%. I didn't hit you with my best shot, and that's the beauty of this fight coming in, and that's why I'm so confident.
What was you
I didn't hit you with my best shot. It was a bad night, and I still beat you.
It was a bad night?
And you should be embarrassed by that, because I beat you on a bad night.
Gonna be a bad
and my
night.
first time going 8 rounds.
That was a Christmas
hit by a 10-ounce glove.
August 29th was a Christmas
You don't know.
December 18th, Saturday night, it's going to be a bad night.
We'll wrap it up. How will you be different this time around?
You'll see. Enough with the talking. We're 2 days away. Everyone can tune the fucking Showtime.com/pay-per-view. Fucking be there. Otherwise, you're missing out on one of the greatest fights ever. Thank you.
Tyron, how will you be different?
I don't need to be different. I just need to go out there and get it done this time. I needed more time the last time. This time I'm getting some extension to that last fight, so I'm going to get the round done. This is the round 9 to me.
Here we go, folks. Leave no doubt. Jake Paul, Tyron Woodley. Showtime pay-per-view. I know members of the media have got questions. We got a mic. We just ask that you introduce yourself and tell us who you are and who you're with.
This question is for Frank Gore. I'm Greg Ivory with Bleacher Report Betting. I'm riding with you. Me and the BR Betting is riding with you on Saturday, but you the underdog. So what do you got to say to the people that's betting against you, Frank?
Man, I've been underdog all my life, bro. I'm okay with it. I will say, like I said before, I train real hard. I've been around this sport for a long time, and the world gonna see my type of skills I got in the boxing ring.
Let's go.
Mark Raimondi for ESPN. I just wanted to ask Anthony Taylor a question. When this fight was first booked with Chris Avila, you posted on Instagram that you're not a fan of the Diaz brothers, Team Diaz, and you don't like anything that they stand for. Could you elaborate on what that means?
Well, stating back to the last time I fought Chris Avila, when I smacked him up in a cage, Nate, a.k.a. Cameron Diaz, didn't like the fact that I beat his butt buddy. So Nate got butt hurt, threw a water bottle at me. Him and his group tried to jump me. From there on, it's been beef like that. Now I got the opportunity to shut him up again. And if Nate wants the problem, we can settle it somewhere elsewhere. But, I'm coming into this fight with a whole new skill set, dominant. I'm going to show you guys why I transitioned over from MMA to boxing.
And then just for Chris, any response to what Anthony said, and how do you see the fight going on Saturday night?
It's an 8-round fight, and it's gonna play into my advantage. He ain't got what it takes, so he can say what he wants. And the last fight when we did fight, he didn't do shit. You can watch it again, and all he did was run. He didn't engage. He probably ain't gonna do the same shit on Saturday. So
the only thing you engage in is pot smoking, bro. You're not even a fighter. You like 8 and 9, bro. You suck, bro. Like, I swear to God, you
this
suck.
guy's just mad because all my homies already whooped his ass and punked him all over the place.
Yeah, but I got that W on my name, not yours. You're a has-been, bro. You're a drummer boy, bro. Like, you a nobody. You lucky to be on this card because of me. Come on, bro. Because of me.
I put this dude on, too.
Right. Come on. They put you on, bro. The boyfriend put you on, bro.
He went on to fight Tommy Fury, whatever.
Man, stop playing Stockton.
Got put on.
You ain't about that life. You ain't a gangster.
Ask your question.
Hi, Caroline Jastrzemski, House of Highlights. I have a question for the NBA legend. If you were putting together an NBA boxing card with current players, who would you want to see on there?
That's a tough question. Well, Kendall Gill for one, because he's had some professional fights, so I definitely got to throw him on there. James Johnson. Is it James Johnson? I think James Johnson's like a black belt, so I know he's got some training. Throw him on there. Then like some legends like Charles Oakley, because I know he used to throw hands on a regular. One of my former teammates, Jerry Stackhouse, because he used to throw hands on the regular as well. So I'd probably put those guys on there, and then I'm gonna throw myself on there.
You just gonna leave out Nate Robinson like that?
Come on, man.
That's not necessary.
Colin, the Schmo. All right, here we are. This is the Schmo with the Schmo Zone. Question for Jake Paul. Yesterday at the media workout, you mentioned that Tyron Woodley's power was about a 4 out of 10. Have you been touched with anyone who's had a 7 or greater out of 10?
Yeah, I definitely have. I've sparred with 3-time, 4-time world champions, professional boxers, guys who are bigger than me, heavyweights. I sparred a guy who's 6'9". Those dudes can crack, and that's why I said his power is 4 out of 10. He won the UFC championship with that right hand. He hit me with it. I was off balance, yada, yada. First time I've been hit in a real fight. Cool, take it, no problem. Come back and win every single round after that. So that's why I give him a 4 out of 10.
Tyron, if you're a 4 out of 10, what is Jake to you for all the people that you felt?
I mean, to be honest, Jake was kind of running, so I would measure his track speed more than his punching power. So I give him a 10 out of 10 on his back pedal. He should probably be a cornerback.
I might actually go to the NFL after this, or NASCAR. I'm still debating.
Who's next?
Hi, Chris Maxwell with Sporting News. Tyron, yesterday during media workouts, Jake Paul had compared himself to potentially be the next Muhammad Ali. What is your reaction to that?
I mean, that's his goal. Like, I don't crush people's goals. Whatever this dude want to do, that's on him. Like, Saturday night, I'm whooping his ass. So, whatever his plans is, like, that's one thing about me. I'm real. I'm not gonna bash just to unnecessarily bash to sell a fight. If he got goals and he got ambitions and shit he want to do, then have at it. But Saturday, my goal and my mission is clear, and it's independent of his.
Back in the back.
Yeah. Josh Cassio, Fox 13. Tyron Woodley, if you win this fight...
Win. Start using the right words around here.
When you win this fight, will there be a trilogy?
Let's just focus on the fight. I mean, shit, we can talk about a trilogy. We can talk about 4, 5, 6, 7 times. But, you know, if I don't get it done on Saturday, this conversation is off the table. So right now, I'm laser focused on Saturday night. I'm ready. I'm excited. I'm more prepared than I was the last time. And the small adjustments I made in training, even before the fight was announced, I think those little small things are going to give me the victory.
Hey, Jake Donovan, BoxingScene.com. Amanda, I had a question. You said you had to eat your way to maintain lightweight throughout this camp. What's the one food you've enjoyed the most that you haven't been able to in past training camps?
Well, I was able to eat whatever I want. I mean, I had a nutritionist who made my dinners, but I guess I try to avoid bad foods, so chocolate chip cookies, like the real ones, the ones that comes out the oven. That's my craving.
Okay, very cool. And then my question for Miriam, do you find it crazy that you're going to now face arguably the 2 best pound-for-pound fighters in order to win a world title?
¿Te parece increíble que hayas tenido que enfrentar a las 2 mejores peleadoras de la actualidad para poder tener la oportunidad de ganar un título mundial?
Hombre, para eso estamos aquí, porque hemos trabajado para ello. Y la verdad es que es un honor poder pelear con las mejores.
That's the whole reason we're here, to fight the best, to go after the highest honor. And it is truly an honor to fight someone like Amanda and to fight the best and to be considered to fight the best.
We have one more.
Mike Straka, Big 8 Radio here in Tampa. Tyron, now that you're on this journey, would you recommend this journey for other MMA fighters like you've been to take on boxing and take on other paychecks after your career in MMA is somewhat over?
You know, if they want to lose.
For me, he was talking to a man, let the child be quiet. For me, I've always been a trailblazer. I was the first one with the vlog. Make sure you guys check out Champ Camp. It's crazy right now. I was the first one that really entertained these ideas even before Conor did. I was talking about boxing before then. Actually, my coach, Dean Thomas, was talking about boxing before any MMA fighter was boxing. So my mind has always been ahead of the curve. I suggest people do what they are put here to do. Everybody will watch Instagram and internet and they see something cool and they want to go and do it. Like, that's not what we're here. For one thing, this fight against Jake, I don't know what it is with this kid that makes me excited to train, that makes me want to get in the gym. And that's why this fight was important to me the first time, and that's why it's important this time. You know, whatever excites you and motivates you to go out there and do whatever God puts you on this earth to do and passionate about, do that. Every MMA fighter should box. Some MMA fighters should box, but they got to make that decision for themselves. So I'm not going out there, waving the banner for MMA. I'm not going out there waving the banner for anybody that want to see Jake get his butt kicked. I'm doing it for myself. And if anybody benefits from it after that, then, multiple birds with one stone. But do what you're supposed to do. Do what you got put you here for. Don't sit here and try to follow my footsteps.
Thanks, T-Wood. Jake, conversely, as T said earlier, you've proven your power in the ring. Would you ever consider taking an MMA fight?
Yeah, for sure. 100%. I think it could happen.
You a lie.
Why not? Why not?
You a lie.
If I can learn how to box in 2 years and beat people like him, then why can't I learn how to do MMA
let's do
in 2
MMA
years
then.
And beat people like him?
Let's do MMA then.
So that's my answer. Is it will happen at some point. 100%.
Let's do this MMA after we do this boxing stuff so I can elbow you in the head and knee you in a nugget.
So there you have it, folks.
He cap.
Hall versus Woodley. 2. They say it's all about leave, no doubt. Comes your way, Showtime pay-per-view, Saturday, December 8th, 9 p.m. Eastern. That is 6 o'clock Pacific time. Our first time back here in Tampa in 13 years, but we'll be at the Emily Arena. You can get tickets at emilyarena.com. Make sure you get them because we are expecting a sellout at that arena. Ladies, gentlemen, appreciate it. Let's get a face-off here, guys. Let's face off.
Bueno, Yomar, Miriam, por favor, que vamos a tener los careos, así que prepárense de atrás, ahora les van a decir a dónde.
There you have it. The press conference for the Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley rematch is in the books. Luke Thomas, Brian Campbell, hosts of Morning Combat, right here on your stream for the event that just happened. All right, BC. What do we think? This was very different than the first one, a lot calmer, but is that good or bad?
I think it's good. I think this is a different kind of intensity from the build of the first fight. Both of these fighters did a great job really selling what led to some pay-per-view success for that first fight on August 29th, the beef between them. I think we've grown past that, meaning they spend 8 rounds against each other. They know the talent across from them. They know the danger across from them. But more importantly, and this has become the narrative for this week, I think both realized Luke Thomas, could have done more. I think they're almost looking in the mirror. This is a fight against themselves. It just so happens that they're rematching each other because they feel like if they bring their A game, which both feel like they didn't get a chance to execute the first time because of maybe the opponent being tough, they think they're going to be able to come out on top. And I love the confidence from both. I love the different type of intensity. It's not I'm going to clown you, make you into a meme as much as I got to go out there and right that wrong. And I think, the ski mask, is this going to be a bank robbery? We'll have to find out come Saturday night.
It's a decent gimmick, the bank robber outfit, to sell the fight for sure. You got to appreciate that. But I think you actually homed in on something kind of accurate, which was Jake was a little bit having to answer for being rocked by Tyron in their first fight, and then on top of that, maybe boxing a little bit defensively,
not finishing him or
Not really
trying
stepping on
for
the
it
gas,
in the
yes.
second half of the fight.
And in the case of Woodley, okay, he had the big punch that landed in the 4th round, but really not a whole lot else. He had to answer for that as well. Again, I've been going back to it. Listen, what more could these guys possibly say to each other? Even had Tyron Woodley say as much either. He's like, I'm not talking about the trilogy. Forget all this. Forget all this. The point being is, at this stage of their rivalry, I think is what you would call it, the only thing left for them to do in any kind of meaningful way, it seems to me, is to, if not necessarily win, just put on the kind of performance that inspires confidence,
no question,
that people can remember, and then make them go, okay, that was worth the money that I put down. By the way, Showtime.com/PPV.
I mean, this is for, in some ways, their immediate fighting future in terms of the value that they can bring. Can they stay on the A side? Can Woodley get a win and redeem himself and try to hook up a third fight? There's plenty at stake, not to mention Jake being the face of this crossover boxing sort of fun circus that we've had right here. It doesn't mean that one loss pops the balloon completely, but Jake winning is a big part of this movement at the moment. So the pressure's on both, and when you get two guys looking to right a wrong in the same rematch, and considering how tense they were in the first fight, but it didn't necessarily spill into constant action, I think the ante has been raised from the stakes, and that should bring up a higher amount of intensity where there's no excuses anymore. You know, this is time to right that wrong and maybe do what they both believe they should have done last August. Well, they get a second chance to start 2022 off, you know, on good terms in the directions they want to go in their careers, and I think you'll see that manifest. You'll see that emotion start to boil over.
I think what I saw here today was that both guys were very excited for another fight opposite that person, that they really did relish the fact that the 8 rounds between them was not going to be the full story. However, I also felt like they were sick of each other in terms of promotional entities that they had to tolerate, work with, be around, discuss. Tyron Woodley in particular seemed to be a little bit, shall we say, over it.
Yeah,
I think
for
that's
sure.
a fair way to put it.
Over the drama that comes with it.
I think he seems genuinely chomping at the bit. But this Dog and Pony Show, as probably he views it, I think he's a little bit over it.
Look, and you've seen a more humble Jake. Yeah, there's a couple shots he took at him, a little bit of trash talking,
yes,
but not the full-on assault of the first one. And I think a big part of that is the respect that you do earn when you go 8 hard rounds with somebody, and when you find out, like we sort of teasing, it could be part of this narrative, you know, maybe they're better than I thought they were coming in. I think Tyron Woodley definitely did better than we thought from some foundational elements. He wasn't a mess. He wasn't sloppy out there. His defense was strong. His footwork, his setup's not obviously perfect. It's his first attempt at crossing over. But he had some foundational elements to work with. He just didn't pull the trigger enough. Can he right that wrong? Can he add on to that to increase his chances? And for Jake, I think you want to see better reactions to certain you know, should the fight get a little dangerous? Should the fight heat up? You want to see more clinching. You want to see a smarter adaptation out of that. I thought if Woodley accomplished one thing in that first fight, it was changing the tenor of Jake's, you know, output by landing that big shot in round 4.
Yeah, a lot more. There was a few combos through rounds 4. After that, they kind of fell off a little bit. What did you make of Jake Paul's belt, the most valuable boxer?
Yeah, one of the most
like
prestigious
you see it over his shoulder right there.
Titles we've seen in this sport with the extra additions of the Rolex, Luke.
Did you like the bag hanging off of it?
Yeah, it's got a fancy attaché purse type of feel to it.
I hear the TikToker and 20-somethings do that this year. That's what all the rage is.
Yeah, I think somebody should wear that and ask somebody to go to prom. That's what I see. See, the thing I'll say about the new generation of hero, we've seen Sugar Sean O'Malley on the UFC and MMA side, and somebody like Jake Paul who knows how to sell himself. If it's not exactly our cup of tea at age 42 and 43, that means it's probably working, Luke.
That's right. That means it is exactly correct, because our assessment of what is cool is probably profoundly off the mark.
1995 was pretty cool. I remember those days, you know.
311 was big when we were in high school, but not so much now. Anyway, you get the idea. So he had the props, he had the outfit. He seemed to be in salesmanship mode. This is obviously the last chance to sell this fight will be at the press conference tomorrow, which should in fact be heated. We'll see if he has his standard chicken wing meal,
his lucky meal.
Jake Paul were afterwards, but this was
his Raging Cajun's lucky meal.
This was more or less business as usual. Let's talk about some of the other fights on the card that we saw here very briefly. Frank Gore and Deron Williams having a lot of nice things to say, but a pretty intense face-off again.
I got to give this matchup credit. You love the matchmaking, not really knowing what each is going to bring to the table from their particular professional sport in which they were world-class. Gore, third leading rusher in NFL history. Williams, a decorated All-Star and Olympian. But it seemed like the intensity has grown. We got to talk to them at the open workout and see how serious Frank Gore's Eye of the Tiger is. We got to hear their confidence. The closer we're getting to this, I feel like we're going to see action. I don't know where to lean. Just, of course, certainly I like the intensity that Frank Gore is bringing in here, but Deron Williams, whether he's 6'3" or 6'7", Luke, he'll have that size and reach advantage. He's an incredible athlete. This could get really fun.
It could be a lot of fun. I actually have a pretty high hope for that one, given at least at a bare minimum the quality of the athlete involved. So elsewhere on the card, the co-main event, Amanda Serrano taking on Miriam Gutierrez. Amanda Serrano has really never won for the fireworks at the press conference or the crazy declarations about what's happening. This was fairly straightforward between two competent and talented professionals.
Yeah, she lets her fists do the talking. This is Amanda, as we talked to her yesterday by the pool at the open workout. She's moving up 2 weight classes for this one. She's won titles across, 7 of them? I think I may have said 9 incorrectly, because you do get overwhelmed by the level of her success, but she wants the Katie Taylor fight. That would be for all 4 lightweight belts. You can't get there until you pass this test on Saturday if you're Amanda. And this is a tough test. Somebody who used to hold the title in this weight class, who went the distance against Katie Taylor and losing it, and Miriam Gutierrez. I love the focus of Amanda Serrano in saying, you can ask me about that other fight all you want. This is all I care about in this moment. That's what she's going to need to keep the consistency and climb that final hill to get this super fight of all female boxing super fights.
We have to wrap up here. A couple more fights on the card, but we have to at least mention Chris Avila taking on Anthony Taylor. Anthony Taylor trying to steal the headlines here a little bit. Chris Avila not really giving him a lot to work with.
Well, that's the 209, right? That's the Stockton style.
It's amazing. Chris Avila literally sounds and talks similarly to Nate Diaz, his mentor. He's almost like picked up his mannerisms.
Well,
it's quite unusual.
This should be an interesting fight. They fought in MMA in early 2020 under the Bellator banner, with Taylor getting a majority decision that Avila believes was disputed. So, hey, you get to go in the boxing ring where both have had professional experience, but yet not a ton. So this could heat up very quick. Taylor tends to go after. Look, he gave Tommy Fury trouble in Cleveland. You know, we didn't see that with the size difference coming in. He was a gnat. He was annoying. He was in his face. He's also not afraid to go for broke. So this should be very interesting.
So there you have it. Of course, we'll be back tomorrow for the weigh-ins. As a reminder, if you are going to be in the Tampa area, you can go to the box office at the Amalie Arena. Tickets are still available. And, of course, if you would like to purchase the pay-per-view, no time like the present, go to showtime.com/PPV. You can go ahead and pick it up. This will be on Saturday. Of course, the first fight was on a Sunday. This will be Saturday night, and the main card will start at 9 p.m. in the
And you can buy that on your cable provider, satellite. You can go to the Showtime app and download that and get it there. If you're outside the U.S., you can use FITE. It's FITE.TV to get it. So no shortage of ways to reach out and grab this, and you're going to want to see what happens on Saturday night, because there's a lot of big-time drama that's just been, anxiously awaiting under the skin here.
High expectations for the fight.
Yes.
High expectations.
For both to leave no doubt. When you get 2 trains coming at full speed, you're gonna see a collision.
And you had your 8 rounds in the past. Now that you have 8 rounds more, you got to get it done. So we will see you on Saturday, but of course, we will see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. in the East for the Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley 2 weigh-ins. That is Brian Campbell. I'm Luke Thomas. We're the hosts of Morning Combat. We'll see you tomorrow at those weigh-ins. Live from the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, it is time for the open workouts for Woodley versus Paul 2. Yes, the rematch.
This fight got disrupted when Tommy Fury was forced to pull out.
Tyron Woodley is getting a second chance for something we didn't think he was going to get.
That's the fight that should have happened in the first place, and now we're about to get it done. It's shots that I saw that I could have thrown. I allowed him to throw more. He backed up. I was pressing him. I was in better shape. And it's going to be the same thing this time.
You're Jake Paul. You have a very important job of making sure that a rival gets silenced.
Do you expect this to be more difficult?
I don't. I'm early in my career. I've never even been hit with a 10-ounce glove. The shot he caught me with was a lucky shot. I was falling backwards already, so it really didn't even hurt. It's like a chess game, and I'm just better at it.
This has been a wild rivalry, and it's only heating up a second time.